they hit a mother.
They run over her.
Crossing the walkway, and she was crossing with a stroller.
With her baby,
and
newborn baby.
So now the kids are involved in a murder case.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the American Dreamers Club podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. A little tired today.
Yeah. But we have work to do. And last time, I think the conversation we had about the adolescent series, Netflix series, that evolved into a topic that is very, very close to you, but very touchy, right?
Near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, exactly. So what I wanted to do was basically talk about how our childhood impacts our lives in our work, our lives, period.
Okay.
And I can always speak for myself. So I found out later in life, and still with my development, self-development, and all that, that how my childhood plays a huge role. I never thought about it. Like I never thought of it while I was growing up or even as a young adult. But now, as an older adult, and I'm sorry, but the dog is under the I can see it. And now I can try to not so much battle that, but try to overcome the obstacles that they present because of, again, the impact that I had or what I didn't have and what I had as a child, right? And so one of the things that we were talking about was the parent presence. Like they were present in the household, but they were not involved.
Yeah.
So you touch on that subject. So how can a child or a parent, because this is not about so much about the child, but the parent, how can parents with young kids, and they start with young kids, and then we move on to adults, right, or teenagers and all that, because it's never too late. How can they get more involved? For someone, just think about the average person who has kids and they've been, I guess, caught up with this whole social media and the devices, the iPad, the cell phones, and all that. How can they get off that pattern or break that pattern?
I believe that everything that we do in life that we want to do, it has to start with a desire. And with that being said, whoever the parent is that is listening to this, they have to have the desire to change, or they have to have the desire to connect with their child. They have to have the desire to become a better parent, regardless of how old the child is. It may be still a baby in the womb. It may be a toddler. It may be a teenager. It may be a 30-year-old. It doesn't matter. But you have to have the desire to really want to do this, because if you don't, everything else that I'm going to go ahead and say after this, it's pointless. Because at the end of the day, I always say at the end of the day, that's what I found out in listening to these podcasts. At the end of the day, if you don't have that desire, that it's really like something burning inside of you, you're really not going to succeed. Because nobody's going to make you or force you to. You have to have the desire. Now, that is step number one. Step number two, after having the desire, you have to get the knowledge. I'll just give you an idea. For example, I don't have the desire to cook or to learn how to cook at all. But if I wanted to learn how to cook, it is not enough for me to go to a school or to go to culinary school or to read a recipe or to watch a YouTube video and just teach me how to make whatever. It is not enough. I need to have the desire first to learn how to cook or to make something delicious, and then go and get the knowledge I need to do that. Okay? So the desire. You need to go and learn what it is that you are doing. Going back to parenting. And I believe I said this in another episode. You have to learn what a parent is. We think that a parent is just an individual who has a kid, and that's it. And it's not. There are so many individuals that have kids, and that does not make them a parent. Okay. And also, for you to do that, you have to learn what a child is. And a lot of people say this, oh, I'm raising a child. No, you're not raising a child. If we think that we're raising a child, you're always going to treat that child as a child, and there is no future for that child, because that child is always going to be a child in your head. You know what I mean? I don't say I'm growing a seed. I'm saying I'm growing a tree and planting a seed. Does it make... Yeah. Okay. So you have to start from the basics. What is a parent? What is the role of a father? What is the role of a mother? And oh my gosh, I just opened another can of worms, because I know there are so many homes right now that have children with parents that are not together. Mom is gone, or dad is gone, or they spend a week here, a week there, whatever custody things. Sometimes they don't even are part of their life, the kid's life. But you cannot parent, if you are the mom, you cannot parent as the dad. Even if the dad is not present, unfortunately, with all the pain in my heart. But the dad is supposed to fulfill a specific role model, a specific role and responsibility on that child's life. And you're supposed to be the mother. And as far as the mother goes, we learn from the mother that it's like the more nurturing and the one that fulfills that emotional need, the one that connects a little bit more emotionally with the child that is growing to be an adult. But sometimes we don't understand our limits. As a father, sometimes fathers don't understand that, yes, discipline, the child needs discipline, but there is a limit to the discipline, and it is not abuse. It is not pain, or at least there is no physical pain. There has to be a consequence. Oh, geez, why am I going through this? And there is a huge thing as far as discipline goes that I can do another episode on, as far as how to physically give that pain or that consequence to your child. And most of the time throughout history, and I've seen it plenty of times, and in fact, I did it when I just didn't know. We get mad at whatever the child did. Let's say they dropped the milk and they broke the glass or whatever it may be, and we get mad. And so out of our anger, we react toward the child, and we give him a physical pain and yelling and go to your room and all. That is not the correct way to give a consequence to a child. First of all, there is something called gravity. Yes, who has not dropped something out of an accident? And it was probably just literally an accident. So there is no need to give the child a consequence in something like that. So when the child does something, we need to stop, think, and be like, I cannot react. I have to act upon. And so we do not discipline out of anger or with emotion or mad or anything. We have to think, this is what happened and this is the consequence that you need to get because of blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that is for another day because it's very long. But going back to the steps that somebody needs to take to really get back to connect and to not only be physically present, but to really be involved, again, is the desire, the knowledge, learning what a parent is, what a child is, what a mother is, what a father is. And I know that for the typical household, I know that parents, most of them work, for example, an 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, something to that extent. The child during that same time is also at school, and 8 to 3, 4-ish, unless they are in like after school. So we pick them up at 6. And then we think, but we don't have time. We don't have time because I get home, and when I get home, I have to cook. Not me, but that's the typical person. I get home, I have to cook, I have to clean, I have to do the dishes, I have to do laundry, and the kid is over there doing homework, and we don't see each other, and then it's already 9:30 o'clock, and then they have to go to sleep, I have to go to sleep, and tomorrow I have to get up at 5, and it's the whole routine again, is you don't see them. And I have the people that I have sat down with, I always find that there is time. We're just not managing it correctly. A lot of people tell me, I just don't have time to be with my kid. I don't have time to give him quality time. We all do. Because sometimes we prioritize making sure that the dishes are clean over spending time with that child. I know that the dishes need to get cleaned. And if you have to have the dishes cleaned, why don't you invite your child to help you wash the dishes while you talk about how was school? And one of the things that I have implemented with my daughter from, I don't even know, like she was very little, she started going to school. I would always ask her, how was school? And we're used to like, a parent would say, how is school? How was school? And the kid says, good. And then the conversation is over. And then the parent accepts that. And then the parent gets with their phone or do whatever. And I'm like, good. That word is just one word and has 4 letters. And I don't think good, those 4 letters, is enough for an 8-hour shift at school.
But that doesn't start from one day to the next.
Correct.
That's a pattern that started, let's say if the kid is, or the child is, I don't know, 5 years old or 7 years old. So
There's a big difference from 5 to 7, though.
But what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't start from one day to the next. Like it's been gradually being implemented in their family's routine. And so I remember you were saying last time, if you don't want your kids to, or you don't want to be a bother to your kids when you're 80, right? We touch on that.
Yeah.
Then you might as well start investing now. So a lot of times, a lot of my clients, they're seniors, and I see it all the time. They're like, they spend hours and hours talking with me when they get an opportunity because they do not get the chance to speak to other people.
Yeah.
They might go 3-4 days if they don't go to the store without speaking to anyone.
Yeah.
Or interacting with anyone, and that's sad because they're seniors, right? Like that's in my mind. It's like those years are for you to enjoy your grandkids, great grandkids, be around family, just enjoy the last ride, right? And so I see that in the United States. Excuse me. In the United States, you don't see a whole lot of interaction with families. Not everyone, but most. Not, I'm not gonna say most because I don't have the data, but based on what I've seen, there are a lot of seniors that don't have any type of interactions. And you ask them, I ask them, wait, what happened? When was the last time you saw your son, your daughter, your grandkids? Oh, they came over for the day before Christmas or during the holidays, and that's like maybe once or twice a year. And I'm like, okay, maybe we're in Florida, maybe they reside in Nebraska or Wisconsin or whatever.
Indiana.
Yeah, somewhere out west or up north. No, are only 30, 45 minutes away. So it's like, we may not have all the answers for that type of scenario. Why is it happening?
Yep.
But I am sure that it has, some of them have to do with the fact that they did not spend enough time, quality time with their children, and that's all they know. So basically getting back what you gave them, whether it was intentional or unintentional. Because a lot of times people, I can say that my mom worked really hard, and when I was growing up, single mom, and so with three kids, and so she had to work a lot.
Yeah.
And I spent time with her, but I feel like now as an adult, I'm like, man, I wish it would have been more. But now, it's every time I get a chance, I still go. She's only what, a couple of hours on if I get hop on a plane,
Yeah.
or 6 7 hours if I drive. So I try to see her, and we try to see each other as often as we can. And we're always once a week. I'm on the phone with her,
Yeah.
and so we still keep that interaction, even though I didn't spend a whole lot of time, quote unquote, a whole lot of time with her because she was always working. But the little bit of time that she gave us, it was crucial, and it was really important. And again, we're coming from a culture, Latin culture, where families are like, especially my family, it's like they're very united, we're very tight. Yeah, and we're big. It's a big family. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So we're like the Greek wedding, like those weddings, like
The
yeah,
fat
what
Greek
is it?
wedding.
Yeah. So like when we have family gatherings, it's like it's a party. You know what I'm saying? Everyone shows up. You know, one from Argentina, one from all over. So yeah, so that's because of the part of our culture, not only Latin culture, but our family culture. It's always been like that since I was born, and even prior to that. But again, there was quality time, there was love and everything. So I wonder if those seniors, like those people that are not getting that from their kids,
Yeah.
it's because they did not give them enough time. Do you think there has to be a reasonable answer to that? For some of you that don't know, the reason I ask her is because she has a degree in psychology. It's not like you're making things up. So there's
Yeah.
a reason behind it, right? It's a research and studies and all that. So I don't know him. That's why I ask you.
There's a lot of variables. There is really not black and white because the human experience, it's so complex. Not only complicated, but it's so complex because you have to take into account 100,000 billion trillion variables. We're talking about everything from how they grew up, where they grew up. I'm talking about a child that grows up in Florida is a very different child that grows up in California, and we're in the same country. Even we were watching the other day this family from Alaska, and I'm looking at them, and it seems like they're in another world. I'm like, oh my gosh. And they're in that series, there is a girl, I think she's like 10. She could be like 10.
She was 12.
Yeah, something like that. And I'm like, dang, I grew up, my brother, I had to hang out with my brother and his friends. So I'm used to like, if they would tell me like, oh, we're all gonna go climb the tree, I would go and climb the tree. But when I was watching what she had to do living out in the wild at her age, I'm like, I don't know if I would have done that. But I know that if I would have been placed in that environment,
Excuse me, I can hear my breathing. It's like it's driving me nuts.
if I would have been placed in that environment, if I would have been placed in that situation, humans actually are conditioned to their environment.
Right.
So we can say, for example, I grew up in the line of the equator where we don't have any type of cold. It's always like from 80 to 110 degrees. 80, it's probably the coldest that it could get.
Cool. I mean that.
Hot. Like Miami is Alaska for us. Yes, yeah. So I grew up in that. So when I first arrived to the United States, I actually arrived on a day, on the 17th of February, and it was snowing. So I came from that my whole entire life to snow. And I said, heck to the no. I never thought I looked like an Eskimo because, and people had their snow jackets and people were like, it's not that cold. For me, it was crazy cold. And it took me so long to get used to that. But my body got conditioned. So going back to that, like we are conditioned, or we actually get used to and condition ourselves to certain environments. And so there's so many variables. There are so many variables as far as if mom was a working mom and was not necessarily fully present all the time because she had to work, or like in your case, your mom was a single mom from an early, very early age, and she had to jump into this, hey,
on a role that not necessarily was prepared for, because I don't think anyone will be prepared to
exactly.
be in that situation at already 21.
And she was so
A
young.
child, almost. So she was put in a position where she had to become a warrior and just make it happen. It doesn't. It didn't matter what was in front of her. She had to make it happen. She had
Exactly.
the responsibility of 3 kids.
And it was like survival. And that's another thing. We try to, like, our survival instincts, we're always going to try to do that. And as I told you, the reason why I cannot give you the or even 3 reasons. However, I can tell you this. Many times, what I have heard, experienced, studied, etc., one of them is the parents, now that they're older, the parents didn't really get to teach the children that are now our age, for example, or like even 5-10 years older, because we're so young. They never taught them how to be a child. We are, and I'm not saying a child as far as like being a kid. As parents, we usually don't teach our children how to be a child of a parent. And that doesn't matter the age, because whatever age you are, you have a mom. That means that you are the child, the son of that mom, regardless of your age. And so our many parents didn't teach me how to be a daughter, how to be a good daughter. They were just making sure that you go to school and you do the thing and you get the good grade and you say thank you and you say please and you pick up your plate and you make your bed and don't talk and close your mouth when you eat and say please and thank you and hello and good morning and good night. Like all the do and go to school and do good and get a job. But we have forgotten to teach our generations how to be the hat that we are going to be at some point in time, or the hat. You wear hats.
Yeah.
You wear a hat. Of course it does. Yes, to be the hat that you're going to wear.
Okay.
If you're going to be a man, who taught you how to be a man? If you're going to be a father, who taught you how to be a father?
I'm saying, didn't make sense.
I have to explain it to him.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm telling you, who taught you how to be a father?
I have a father, but
nobody taught you.
He wasn't around as much.
So nobody taught you. So you have to figure it out on your own, and figuring things out on your own includes making so many mistakes. And I, for example, me as a mom, nobody taught me how to be a good mom. But I wanted to be a good mom. So because I wanted to be a good mom, or the best mom I could be, I had to learn. I had 2 options. I could either do as I saw, monkey see, monkey do, or I needed to learn from somebody or something or somewhere that could teach me, because I was not taught. And also, I wasn't taught how to be a good daughter. So now I'm figuring it out, teaching my daughter how to be a good daughter. Does it make sense? Because nobody taught me. As I said, many parents of the next generation from us, like our parents' generations, they were just making sure that we did the thing. But the things that we were supposed to be if you're going to be a father, if you're going to be whatever you're going to be, the hat you're going to wear, the role you're going to play in someone's life, they never taught you. However, they did teach us, if you're going to be a doctor, go to 8 years of school so you can learn how to be a doctor. How come we don't go to 8 years of school on how to be a good son? 8 years of school on how to be a good father?
Because that's not, I guess, because naturally, that's what you're supposed to do.
But we
So,
don't.
We don't, but because no one, I don't think that's in, there isn't a manual per se. There was, no one really thought about that in the past. Maybe now with all the resources and tools that we have and access to many of them
Yeah.
online or whatever, but it wasn't the norm, and still not the norm. I don't think.
Yeah.
Hey, I want you to be the best son, the best daughter, and these are the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3, and steps for you to get there. In a way, so it's individually, like you said, it is based on the environment, the way they were raised. Because remember, you're talking about people. We are the product of the environment, right? That's just how it is. And like our generation didn't have those tools. Now is when we are discovering, like, oh my God, like I was so wrong. Now now is when I think it a new era of discovery has begun when it comes to like mental health. No one really talked about mental health in the past, not as much. I remember if you said that you were going to the psychologist,
Therapist or counselor.
therapist, oh my
You're
God,
crazy.
yeah, you were looked at funny. You know what I'm saying? And no one likes to be judged, so that's another thing. But I don't think that many people think about that. Like they think about it, but we feel or that is going to be by default. That is going to be something natural, like it's going to happen out of nowhere. And that's where I think now that we talk about, I think it answers some of the questions that I had about those seniors that are not getting the love or the interactions with their kids, because now their kids might be 40, 50 years old, whatever. But that is because back then they probably thought the same thing. It's by default you'll be
Yeah.
a good son, a good daughter.
But remember what I told you, monkey see, monkey do? Okay. There's really not necessarily like a manual per se that, okay, you're going to sit down and these next 8 years, I'm going to teach you how to be a good son and take notes and chapter 1. There's really not that. There is the monkey see, monkey do. If me as a parent, if I eat and I leave my plate there and I don't pick it up, I can tell my daughter all day long, make sure that you pick up your plate after you're done.
You know that we keep using the dishes as
I don't know.
example.
Maybe because I'm looking at the kitchen
I hate doing dishes. That's what it is.
and I hate cooking. So we're a great deal. But what do you think my daughter is going to do? Is my daughter going to do what I tell her, or is she going to do what she sees?
Well, you show her.
What she sees, I don't show her.
Yeah, but whatever you show is you show her as far as what you do. Like
She sees. She sees the action. No, because I can show her, like, look, I'm going to show you something.
But you're showing by how you act, the things that you do.
Actually, I'm going to touch on
We're
something.
married, so by the way, let's see if you haven't.
I'm going to tell you something. There's a very different thing between showing and them seeing. Because we can go even deeper as monkey see, monkey do.
No,
Yes.
continue.
No, let me actually say it. Because even if I show, I can show once or twice and I can show to someone something. But if they see me when I'm not conscious that they are seeing me, I show them something completely different or the opposite, they're going to do that more because that's the normal, quote unquote, that's the unconscious that's working, is not the conscious. Because the conscious is, I don't want to pick up my plate. or I don't want to pick up the dishes or whatever. So it's not about showing, it's about doing and being. And when you do and when you are, that's more a daily practice. And that is one of the reasons why I truly believe many seniors are there. There is another reason, and it's very sad because I see it in the United States a lot more than in other countries. In the United States, there is the ability to move so easily to another state or to another city far away, right. Or even the military here. Shout out to all the military families and props to those moms that stay here while their spouses get deployed, and even vice versa, the men that stay and their women are deployed. But it's so easy for me, let's say, not for me, I'm already old, but let's say I was a teenager or I was in high school and I'm going to say, hey, I got accepted in Alaska. I don't know, whatever college is in Alaska, but I got accepted in Alaska. I'm going to study whatever it is over there. And then I go. What happens when I go? I just go for 4 years. But what happens when I go? I like it. I meet people. Now I'm an adult. Now I'm independent. Now I don't have the parents telling me you can't do this. You have a curfew. You have to go. Don't touch that. All those things. I don't have the rules from parents. And because quote unquote, I have the freedom, which is the wrong type of freedom. But when I have the freedom, I usually meet someone. And when I meet someone and they fill my heart with little butterflies and usually the wrong feelings, not saying that everybody that meets someone in college is the wrong one. I'm just saying that usually when you're in your early 20s, we don't know who we are and we don't know where we're going. So we have no business actually dating, but many people do, whatever. So what happened if I meet the person and they live in Alaska? And I'm in Alaska just for 4 years and I'm coming back to Florida. What do you think is going to happen? I end up in Alaska. Do you think my parents in Florida that were born in the line of the equator are going to go and live in Alaska with me, with my new husband, for example? No.
You do life.
I do life. And so what happens? Then I have kids. I rescue dogs. I do the thing. I get a job. Now I don't have time. And I think that is just life. But also I think that's a little bit of lack of planning. Because if you know where you're going and you know what your purpose is, and you know that, for example, your parents are part of your purpose and in your life, then you plan around those things. Will it be perfect?
Home or in a assisted living facility, because I go there and those seniors, I was going to say old people. That's so wrong.
We are old people for teenagers. Just you know.
They be having some fun, and you have no idea. And they are very passionate about like bingos and like all the games and all the stuff that they do and activities. And then you have the coordinator, and they argue with each other. But it's beautiful because at least they have people that they interact with.
Yeah.
But on the other spectrum, I see people that don't have the facility to not facility. They don't have the
ability.
Access, no, the ability to live in the those type of facilities. And yeah, it's really hard. But I would say, hey man, if my wife is not around, put me in one of those facilities because I need to see people or whatever.
You know why? Studying psychology, I did learn this, and there's so many studies, especially from Dr. Amen. I love Dr. Amen. By the way, if you don't follow him, please do. He is just an amazing doctor, a person that actually, when I was going to school, I was like, how come not the whole world knows about it? It's something so basic. If your foot hurts, let's say you sprained your foot or whatever, you were running and then something is swollen and it hurts. When you go to the doctor, it hurts, you go to the doctor, and then what do? You get a what? An x-ray, a picture. There is a problem, you go to the professional, they get a picture. a brain thing. Let's say you lost your speech. There is a problem, you go to the doctor, the specialist, and they get a picture, they get a scan. The MRI is a scan, the mammographies are a scan. Like that, those scans are a picture. X-rays are a picture of whatever it is, a colonoscopy, all that stuff. But he was talking about Alzheimer's. He was talking about the another one that is not Alzheimer's, dementia. Thank you, Parkinson, all that stuff. And for some odd reason, we think that it's normal, and it's not actually. There, it is not. And he says, for some reason, even people that have experienced anxiety and depression and all of that, there is a problem. They go to the professional, and what do?
They take a picture.
No, they don't. If somebody has anxiety, they go to the counselor. What does the counselor do?
Oh, they just talk to them, and then or they talk more and they prescribe them.
Thank you. Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
So if it's a psychiatrist.
So there's a lot of prescription that is given to people without taking a picture of the organ. But Dr. Amen is just amazing. Anyway, when I was studying Dr. Amen, he was talking about also the fact that people, like the brain is the one that really gets old. So the brain gets old. The brain is a muscle. So the brain gets old when there is no activity. And so you can see an 80-year-old person, like two 80-year-old people. One is the one that plays tennis and bingo and is very active and laughs a lot and reads, not from a phone, but reads from an actual book or does crosswords, or it's active, like it's exercising the brain. And another 80-year-old that is just sitting down
Watching TV.
all day. So the body starts deteriorating way faster in this person that is not doing it. And I'm not talking because of exercise. I'm talking because you're not having your brain work out. And working out, the worst thing that has existed is social media for the brain, is binging on TV series and those things, because binging on social media, binging on TV, binging on all those things, if you think about it, when you're watching, you're not thinking. When you're watching, your consciousness, it's not actually thinking. So you're not thinking. You're just just chilling. Your brain is not working. You're numb. Your brain is not working. So if you put an 80-year-old person just on a chair just to watch TV all day,
They deteriorate faster.
100%. Their body, actually, their bones, their circulatory system, their respiratory system, they get sick way more often than the person that reads from a book, that a person that does crosswords, that a person that laughs, that a person that does bingo. So I'm not saying we have to be 80 to do that. I'm saying we have to do that now. There's nothing wrong, quote unquote, about watching maybe 1 or 2 episodes or whatever you want to binge on, but that's it. Now stop, close it, turn it off. Go read a book, not from a phone. Go read a book from a book.
Physical book.
Yes. Go write, not on a notepad. Go write on with a pen and paper. There is something in the brain that activates itself, and the dopamine and the serotonin, well, all kinds of things if you guys don't know. But there is so much more life in your brain. And I think that also when our generation see that our parents are already there and there's like really nothing we can talk to them about, we can't take them out. It's our generation. Hey, we have kids that we have to take care of, and we're raising these people. And then I don't have time to go and do what if you don't even talk anymore? It's a very sad reality, but that's another reason.
It's also so many variables.
Yeah.
We're not the experts when it comes to like Alzheimer's and the science and all that. And so that what you said, I'm saying is valid, and add on other variables and all kinds of other things.
Trillions of variables.
We'll be here forever. But you mentioned one thing earlier, which was the cold. So I remember when I got here on March 6, 1996. And I remember...
Do the math.
Huh? Yeah, do the math. So I was very young. I remember I was riding my bike, not a motorcycle, a bicycle, and the wind, right? So I was going to school at night first to learn English. Was going to the school right around the corner from here, as a matter of fact, Jefferson High. So you mentioned something that your parents, like, they show you, and what I mean, you didn't say that, I said that. What I meant by show you is that they show you with actions. Like that's what I really meant, about that. And so I saw my mom being such a hard worker, right, and a go-getter from the moment I can even remember. And so without knowing, that was instilled in me. That was like fed on me, like it was just given to me. And it has been the biggest blessing, like the best gift, if anything, because even in the those moments when she was not around, I had to get on a bicycle and ride a bicycle to the school and back. And we're talking about, it used to take me about 45 minutes to get to the school and then ride back. 40 degrees. I was not used to no 40 degrees.
Our blood is now used to 40 degrees.
Especially with no, I remember I had a windbreaker, and that's all I had. I really didn't have a jacket, a windbreaker, and I didn't even have a hoodie. And man, I was just riding my bike, and then I had to get a bike to go to work, and I had to work in the night shift at a gas station. And so all those things really played a huge role. Doing those things, or prior, what my mom taught me was what was helping me to do those things. Like, she plays such a huge role, and this is like the third episode that I mentioned her.
Ah.
Mom. But I say that, all that to say that parents play such a huge role in their kids' life. And so we were talking about the adolescent series, and the father was such a hard worker. The mom was also a hard worker, and the reason the kid ended up in jail because of murder. A kid that was not raised in the streets, he was not in a bad neighborhood, but there was a disconnect. He was always connected to the phone. He was always hooked up in the games and all that stuff. And he started getting bullied, and he did not know how to cope with that. And it happened. As a matter of fact, parents can also, by giving kids certain things too early in life, can do more harm than good. About what? I'll say the accident on Bayshore had to be four 4 years ago, not even 3 years ago. Yeah,
Two,
about
3 years
two,
ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So imagine this: kids, 18 years old,
Just turned 18
graduating-
year.
just turned 18, just graduating from high school, coming from a very rich family, great neighborhood, and everything, great life, right? That's what
They portray.
They portrayed, and I'm sure they had it. So father buys a brand new Mustang, hooked up and everything, fast. So the kids going 100 miles per hour
On a 35
on
zone
35.
that is in front of a park. Actually,
So,
is the park.
right, they hit a mother.
They
Was
run over her.
crossing the walkway, and she was crossing with a stroller
With her baby,
and the
newborn
baby.
baby.
So now the kids are involved in a murder case. I cannot think or fathom with the idea of waking up, saying bye to my kids, that are going on their last year of or last day of school. Or see you later, baby. Have a blessed day.
Mm.
And then 3 hours later, I get a call from the police department in the police department telling me that my kid has been arrested because he killed a mother and injured a newborn because the newborn survived then and then went to the hospital and died at the hospital. And now two families are ruined forever, forever, because the, I'm sure the kid and neither the kid or the mother or the father thought about their kid going to jail for 40 years that day when he walked out of the house and went going to school.
Yep.
This is not to say that every parent that gets their kids a car when they turn 18 years old, because we're not going to say that every single kid will kill someone if they're given a car. We cannot generalize. However, when you give a child or a kid, an 18-year-old boy or girl, a gift like that comes with so much like responsibility, because a vehicle, it is a weapon. You use it the right way. I don't want to get so caught up on what they should do or what they shouldn't do, but is the fact that before you're given something like that, a potential weapon, all the responsibilities that kid needs to know. It's crazy because there are thousands, millions of kids that got their car, including yourself, at 17. I didn't get my first car until I was like 23, and you did fine. But you were taught something like the nun is taught you how to drive.
A nun was the one that taught me how to drive.
But prior to that, I'm sure someone taught you about the responsibilities that entails having a vehicle, a car.
Not necessarily somebody taught me the responsibility regarding the car necessarily. I just know, at least my dad was very adamant throughout my whole entire life, like from the moment I can remember. He was very adamant about don't do something good that looks bad, and don't do something bad that looks good. And he was always teaching me to consider others, and he was always teaching me to be responsible. Even I can tell you, I was probably 7, 8 years old, and he got home late from work one day. It was, I don't know, 8:30 or 9. I was already asleep at that time, and he woke me up and he said, did you finish, with a lot of love, but he said, did you finish your homework? And I said, yes. He said, show me. And I was showing him, and I literally it was a math homework, but it was problems, like word problems. And I misspelled one letter.
Math?
It was a math problems, like paragraph.
Oh, okay.
And I misspelled one letter. It wasn't even a Spanish homework. And he had me writing that word, I don't even know, like 300 times. I was even crying. I'm like, no more. He's like, you're going to learn how to do it right. And I also learned from him, if you're not going to do things right, don't do them at all. And it's not about doing it right as far as you have to get it right. It's like you have to do it and do it and do it and do it until you get it right. Or like I always say, I'm going to go back to the dishes. When I say I tried to wash the dishes, did you try to wash the dishes? Because it sounds like the dishes are still dirty if you say that. Did you wash the dishes? Yes or no? Or I try to take a shower. Did you take a shower or you didn't take a shower? So I was taught from a very early age to be responsible with everything I did, and to really do my best, and to really put myself out there, not for me, but to serve whoever God was going to put in front of me. And of course, I'm only human, so I have not been perfect at that, but that was instilled in me. And I do have to say that when I got the car that I got, it was definitely not a Mustang. It was a Ford Aspire 95 Aqua.
That's another thing. Yeah. Like 18 years old, boy, and you get them a brand new Mustang. Oh my God.
So,
Adrenaline.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly. So I got a Ford Aspire 95 that I don't think you went over 35. I was like, yeah, like 35. That was the maximum probably that I took.
that's right.
And then on top of that, they didn't gift it to me. I purchased it and I had to pay for things. And so there was the responsibility from me to also take care of something. And not to compare or anything like that, but yes, you said a car is a weapon, but everything is a weapon. Your hand right now is a weapon. The microphone, right? I could take the microphone and hit you right there in the head. So everything is a weapon. But everything also can be a vehicle. I can literally hit you with a Bible in the head. You know what I mean? Physically,
Why is always you hit me?
because you can't.
Then I'll become. Someone will take it out of context and post it online and say
But
he's being abused.
so if
Or
you
he's being an abuser.
if you think about it, everything is a weapon, but everything is also a tool and a vehicle to do something good. I could have used my Ford Aspire 95 Aqua Little 35 Max car to run someone over. Still, at 35, I could have run someone over. I could have used it to drink and drive. But I chose to use it to even pick up some of my classmates that I knew they didn't have a car or a way to get to school. Or one of my friends, her mom had just passed away and she was moving out. And so in my little teeny tiny, I don't even know how we did it. It was probably like 3 trips back and forth, but I helped her to move out of the house because she had to get out. And so she moved in. So I used that tool to do something good. He's watching me. He's watching me right now in the Ford Aspire 95.
It's just that you said, I don't know how you did it. And it's, sorry, but I just have to say it. It reminded me of when we were teenagers. My brother, my mom, here's the thing, like I was not responsible. And so my mom did not allow me to use her car at all. I mean, at all. And so she used to allow my brother to borrow the car. And so none of my friends, none of them had a car. It's a little different in Venezuela. Not every 18-year-old boy or 17 at the time, 16, 17 had a car. And man, I remember like if we go to a party or any type of gathering, you can only fit how many? Like 5 people in a car normally. Right?
Including the
It
driver.
would be like
10?
10 of us. I'm serious.
And the dog.
We did it. Like it was none of the dogs. It was all boys. It was just all my friends. It was the driver, my brother. So I was in the middle, my other friend, and then like in the front was like 4. The driver and 3 more, where we usually can fit just one person, but this car didn't have a center console. It's
Oh,
like
so
one of
someone
those
would sit
straight-
there, yeah.
So I'll sit there, right? 3 in the front, and 4, like 4 in the front, and in the back I don't even know how many. And it's
7.
to the point where like we will be like literally like sardines in a can, like it
And
was
sitting down on top of each other.
on top of each other, and then one across, like it will, okay, everyone ready, and then everyone will like, and yeah, I'm serious, to that point,
Superman.
like slide, like Superman, like slide in, close the door, 1, 2, 3, close, boom, all packed in there, get to the house party, or
And it was the
whatever.
most fun.
It was the best. The
Yeah.
best times.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just, when you mentioned that, I don't know
It's
how you guys
okay.
did it with the Aspire,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
Going back to the weapon.
it could be a weapon and it could be a vehicle.
Yeah.
And to do good.
And you know what? I actually do think, and I want to not talk specifically about this case. In general, as parents, we tend, and I'm generalizing, so if you have never done this, you know,
Kudos to you.
yes, kudos to you. But we usually tend to give our children a physical gift for compensating for our lack of being there and the quality and all those things that really, our child does not need another toy. Our child does not need another car, like
Or-
whatever.
The other reason could be, I'm gonna give my child what I didn't have.
It was so wrong. So wrong.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah. And I'm going to take it back when I said so wrong. There is nothing wrong with giving your child what you didn't have, as long as it is not a material thing. Make sure that they, of course, they have their basic needs. They need to go to school, they have their food, they have their clothes, they have all that stuff. But for example, if you didn't have a present father, give them that present father. If you didn't have the love and the nurture of a mother, give them that love and that nurture of a mother. If you didn't have a parent that listened to you while you were going through puberty and you were like, I don't know what the heck is going on with my body and my thoughts and bullying and all that stuff, and I want to talk with someone, if you didn't have that, then give them that parent that is willing to sit down and listen and ask them. And that is what our kids need. They don't need the last phone. They don't need another iPad. They don't need another Apple Watch. They don't need like the shoes of whatever. They don't need that.
Material thing.
They need you. They need a parent, but a parent that is willing to listen to them. And also when you ask them, like what I was telling you earlier, when I asked my daughter how was school, if there is no good, that's it. No. I ask her, what happened? Tell me about your first class. What did you guys learn? So I'm also like updated. What did you guys learn? Oh, that cool. Oh, you had a test. What was it? How was it? How did you feel? Like every single class, kind of, she gives me a report, and it may sound like too much for you guys, but it's a way for me to really listen to her. And I don't hear her. I listen. And listening is more like, it's not about, I had a math test and then I had this. No, like, how did you feel with the math test? And it's more like in a little bit deeper as far as the emotions. And for example, she was telling me that today she's not a senior, but some of her friends are seniors, and today was the last day, whatever. And so it was bittersweet. And so I asked her, like, why? And what did you guys do? You know what I mean? It's a little bit more. And
so she also drops some names.
Yeah.
Those are the little things that's also that you can pick up on. So she, instead of going, who are your friends? So give me a list of your friends.
Please.
So you've been doing this,
Years.
forever, right? Since she started school and going back to kindergarten. And so
Yeah.
to the point where all her friends, her closest friends, the people that she likes or that don't like her or whatever. And so you build such a rapport that now it's just natural. When she gets in the car, she's, how was your day? And then she goes on, and it could be like a 25, 30
minute talk. Yeah.
And it's all about that, how her day went.
Yeah. And I just listen. And I just listen.
And you can pick up certain things.
And as a parent, like, for example, she comes in and I turn off, like, literally, I turn down 100% the radio, because I don't even want to, like, a song that I love to come up and to distract me from listening to her, unless we're both jamming to the music, like we're both singing to that song and whatever. But when I'm listening to her and her day, that's a different thing. Or so sad when we did talk about a restaurant. So many people go to a restaurant and the 5 of them are on the phone. I'm like, why do you even go to a restaurant? Like, stop. Don't even waste your money at a restaurant if you're not even going to spend time and enjoy time together. Leave your freaking phones in the car or something.
That's crazy, because the reason of going out to dinner is to have an experience. So you don't go to just have a dinner and just be quiet. Like, normally that is not. That's why
so annoying.
It goes back all the way. Like, even Jesus, he broke bread with his disciples. Like, it was a gathering and it was a celebration and it was just a moment, like a special moment. So I think historically,
table is important.
Even I remember I always say the mafia movies, like the Italian mafia.
It was all around the table.
It's all around the table. There's a lot of food. They're breaking bread. When you go to dinner, what is usually like business dinner, like you go to, again, to listen and pick up certain things that are normally at a meeting room wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a more relaxed environment. It's the moment to interact with each other and to just enjoy and pick up on things and celebrate or whatever. I always see that
It's sad.
dinner or going out to a restaurant, like the meal on the table, that is so important. And it's being lost because at home, many people don't eat dinner together. And now it's even worse because when you go out to a restaurant, you're not even speaking to each other.
It is very
What
sad.
about the ones that are like, they go on a date? I will talk about it.
I do have that experience before I met you. But let me tell you something. Before, like, so many parents are like, how was your day? Okay. You see this?
Right.
There is no connection. There is no attention. The parent is on the phone. And so many parents nowadays complain about their children that they're always on their phone. Like they never pay attention to me. They're not listening to me. They're on the freaking phone all day long. But monkey see, monkey do. What are you teaching them? Because when they want to tell you about school, when they want to tell you about a problem, when they want to talk to you, when they want to ask you for permission about something, you're like, yeah, what's up?
To the learned behavior that is adopted at home.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, of breaking those patterns. And speaking about this, people may ask, how does that tie to the American Dreamers Club? And
My gosh.
your dreams that's part of a dream. That's part of the American dream. Having a healthy family,
Having a healthy family.
having a healthy relationship with your kids, because those kids will grow up. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
you're not planting a seed for a seed to stay the same forever.
You're growing a
You're
tree.
growing a tree. You're planting flowers. You're planting, and it's beautiful. The analogy, I love it because you see the growth, but you have to water it. You have to love on that child, and loving on that child is giving them attention. Is giving them the tools by you exposing who you really are and who you want to be, so that that little person can be a better version of you.
A responsible citizen, an
Yes,
adult, a
exactly.
good person.
Yeah, and then they can become the engineers, the entrepreneurs, the writers,
The teachers, the doctors.
and so that is part of the American dream. That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because not many people in business or in general talk about the American dream being the American dream is always work hard, get it and all that, but there's more than that. It all starts with that foundation. It starts with those. That's why I wanted to touch on that. So it is part of the American dream, and that's why at the American Dreamers podcast, it needs to be exposed. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're very welcome.
You want to say something else?
No, I could do another episode right now. Yes. Peace out.